This game is great, but does it hold up? Yes and no. It holds up story and exploration wise, but the gameplay is clunky and the AI sucks really bad. Also, I still ran into a good amount of glitches even 6 years later after this game came out. The story is you go to a vault because a nuke is setting off, and you go in the vault, and then you get cryo, frozen, freezed, whatever. I also don't know how to say it, but you wake up and you see your wife get killed in front of you, and your son gets taken away from you. Then a couple of more years pass, and you try to find Sean, your son. The story has a good pace till the end of the game, or till the end of like the main storyline, I guess, where you choose a faction, decide with, depending on what faction you side with, the different quests you get, and there are 4 factions: the Railroad, Minutemen, Brotherhood of Steel, and the Institute. The faction quests, there are big drop in quality compared to the main quest, in Act 1 and 2. Only some of them are up to the quality of the like Act 1 and 2 quest. There are 4 variations to the ending because of the factions, but there are mainly 2 endings. The story has a good pace till the last act where, like I said, it drops in quality basically. My main problem with the story is you sometimes feel disconnected with the main plot of finding your son. For example, when you only do the main quest, you'll sometimes be bombarded with other quests. It feels like the game doesn't want you to find your son. And also in my first Fallout 4 craziness video or whatever, one part they're talking about finding your son to Preston Garvey, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, but you want to help our settlement first, or you want to do this, you want to do that, and blah blah blah." It's like the game doesn't want you to do the main objective. I do think the game's story and characters are honestly really strong, and they're strong enough that it kind of counters the disconnect. But sometimes the disconnect can be very like weird feeling, and you're like just questioning, should I really do this or should I really do that? Also, the side quests are really good, almost as good as the main story. The only problem is some are just fetch quests, but the ones that are good are actually really good and are almost as good as the main quests, like I said, but you shouldn't be missing out on them. You might be like, oh yeah, I only want to do the main story because I'm a main story type of person. That's I would just Google best side quest in Fallout 4, and then bam, you won't be disappointed. Now on to gameplay. You talk to people, you make some choices, you shoot, lockpick, hack, and some other stuff. Shooting and controlling your character is clunky. The shooting it's just okay. Sometimes it's clunky, you know, and it doesn't always work. Okay. You walk around shooting people and healing till it ends. There's no pattern or technique or any strategy in it, besides if you have good loot or not. How about the RPG elements? The RPG elements are light. You barely, make choices, but overall it didn't matter too much because the main story is fine. It felt like Mass Effect as an example. There's not that many choices, but, the story is good, I guess. I don't know. I feel like from the side quests I've played, you have more choices than in the main quest. But that's from what I played. I didn't do every side quest, obviously, because then it just takes way too long. The exploration is really good. This game is a Bethesda game, and the exploration is wonderful. You know, really good. Like I said, near the end of the game, the magic is kind of gone, which is really sad because Skyrim had a open world which never got stale, and when it did, you could always find something new around the corner. This game uses its world really well, though. The world is well crafted and it actually makes sense and makes you want to walk instead of fast traveling, because all of the moments you'll find along the way when you walk is just is great. You know, it's like a good Bethesda game. Unlike Fallout 76, which isn't a bad game, it's just not a good Bethesda game or Fallout game. You can find new NPCs, companions, guns, and armor, you know, and mini games and stuff like that when you walk instead of fast traveling, because if you fast travel, you miss out on some of the best stuff like loot in the game. The mini games are also they're also pretty fun. They're these basically little arcade games. They're kind of parodies of real arcade games. You put them in your Pip-Boy and they're pretty fun. Also, like, there's a parody of Donkey Kong and stuff like that. Also, there are 13 companions, which is just insane. The AI for them is garbage, but their personality is good. I chose my companions by their personality. All their personalities are great, and the more you hang out with them, the more companion perks you get, and the more you learn about them. They feel like people, unless you get a robot companion, which they feel like a robot, I guess. The companions aren't that great in combat though, because the AI, like I said, but when they are around you and they chat to you, it's so interesting hearing their story. Also, there is a perk system where when you level up, you can upgrade your charisma, strength, and more. You know, like endurance and blah blah blah. Or luck, and I forgot what the other ones are. Intelligence and agility, I think. There is also buildings and settlements. Like, I think there's a lot of settlements. It's in the double digits, and you can build on them and stuff like that. You can build settlements and make them thrive. I only focus on Sanctuary, the starting settlement, because I didn't care too much for it. But I did buy the season pass about on April 1st for like $20 on PlayStation Store, and 3 of the DLCs out of the 6 are based on building. In case you enjoy it a lot, I would advise you to buy those DLCs or the season pass. What else? There is also a lot of base building and customization if you care for that. Onto value. The value is great, but an 18-hour main story, unless you choose a different faction. I don't know how long that will be. I chose the Minutemen, so I had to do a lot of tedious stuff at the end of the game. There's hundreds of quests, interesting and fun exploration. You'll probably spend a lot of time in this world, but they're just like walking around and all the stuff. But there are also some bugs and glitches, like I said, and there are like frame stutters. Fallout 4 is still worth it, and you should play the game if you haven't already.